Welcome to Night Coffee Crime. Tonight, we're exploring a case that not only shocked New York City but reshaped how we understand public responsibility and emergency response. This is the tragic story of Catherine Susan Kitty Genovese, a young woman whose life was brutally cut short, and whose death revealed unsettling truths about human behavior. Let's delve into the events of that night and the aftermath that led to lasting changes in our society. Grab your coffee, and let's uncover what happened. Kitty Genovese, born Catherine Susan Genovese on July 7, 1935, in Brooklyn, New York, was the oldest child in a close-knit Italian-American family. She was one of 5 siblings, and though her family moved to New Canaan, Connecticut, in the 1950s, Kitty chose to stay in New York, a place she felt connected to and loved. By 1964, she was 28 years old and working as a bar manager at Ev's 11th Hour in Hollis, Queens. She lived in the Kew Gardens neighborhood with her girlfriend, Mary Ann Zelenko, carving out a life that reflected her independence and resilience. On March 13, 1964, at around 2:30 a.m., Kitty finished her shift as usual and began her drive home. What she didn't know was that 29-year-old Winston Mosley was prowling the streets, hunting for a victim. As Kitty parked her car at the Long Island Railroad station, just steps from her apartment, Mosley followed her, and in the shadows, he struck, stabbing her twice in the back as she tried to reach her building. Her screams echoed through the quiet streets, and her neighbor, Robert Moser, heard her cries. From his window, he shouted, "Hey, get out of there." Startled, Mosley fled, but tragically, his escape was only temporary. Minutes later, Mosley returned, determined to finish what he had started. He found Kitty collapsed in a dimly lit hallway, hidden from view. Here, he attacked her once again, this time with brutal determination. Kitty's cries for help echoed through the building as Mosley assaulted, stabbed, and robbed her, leaving her to bleed out alone. Mosley's capture came 5 days later, almost by chance, when he was arrested during a burglary in Queens. When questioned, he confessed not only to Kitty's murder but also revealed a horrifying pattern: he had been actively seeking a woman to kill that night. His chilling admission sent shockwaves through the city. At trial, Mosley was found guilty and initially sentenced to death, but he later appealed, and his sentence was reduced to life in prison. The story of his crime didn't end there. In 1968, Mosley escaped from prison, terrorizing the Buffalo area for 4 days as he broke into homes, held people hostage, and even assaulted a woman. His capture and subsequent return to prison closed the final chapter of his violent spree, and he remained incarcerated until his death in 2016 at the age of 81. Kitty's murder, horrific as it was, became infamous due to a scathing article published by the New York Times 2 weeks later. The front-page story claimed that 38 of Kitty's neighbors watched her brutal murder and did nothing. The article, written by Martin Gansberg and heavily promoted by editor A. M. Rosenthal, painted a grim picture of public indifference. For more than half an hour, 38 respectable, law-abiding citizens in Queens watched a killer stalk and stab a woman, it claimed. The number 38 quickly became a symbol of heartless inaction, cemented further by Rosenthal's book 38 Witnesses. The aftermath of Kitty's death led to groundbreaking changes in how Americans respond to emergencies. The outrage over her murder played a significant role in the adoption of the 911 emergency system, allowing people to quickly call for help without needing a direct number for their local precinct. Kitty's case also spurred research into the bystander effect, sometimes called Genovese syndrome, where individuals are less likely to help a person in need when others are present. Kitty's story is now taught in psychology classes around the world, reminding us of the importance of stepping forward when someone is in need. However, decades later, the story was largely debunked. Many of those witnesses were only ear witnesses, hearing fragments of the attack without understanding what was happening. Some thought it was just an argument or a drunken fight. While some did indeed fail to act, the truth is that at least 2 calls were made to the police. Some neighbors did attempt to help. Sophia Farrar, Kitty's neighbor and friend, heard the commotion and risked her safety to run to Kitty's side. She found Kitty lying in a pool of blood, cradled her, and whispered, "Help is on the way," comforting her in her final moments. These acts, though overshadowed by the sensationalized reporting, show that some did try to intervene. In 2016, the New York Times acknowledged that their original reporting was flawed. Mr. Rosenthal said, in 38 Witnesses, that the number had come from Michael J. Murphy, the police commissioner, over lunch at Emil's Restaurant and Bar on Park Row, near City Hall. While some aspects of the story were exaggerated, Kitty's murder still serves as a haunting example of how we, as a society, can fail those in need, but also of how individual bravery, like that of Sophia Farrar, can shine through the darkness. Thank you for joining me on Night Coffee Crime. The case of Kitty Genovese remains a powerful reminder of the difference one voice, one action, can make. If her story moved you, please like, subscribe, and share your thoughts below. And remember, awareness and compassion can save lives. Stay safe, stay aware, and see you in the next story.